Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Manga Monday Show, part of the Weird Science fam of manga podcasts.
Fam,
Fam, Luke, not a network. What's up, Luke?
what's up,
It's
Jim?
the Hollywood Kid. He's here at you again. And if you want to see his best
Boom.
work, you have to go over to the Manga Plus and look at those
Oh.
great comments that he lays down. He's laying down them comments.
Dropping like
Me
bombs.
and you both had comments on this hot off the presses deal,
Crispy.
and they were both pretty much saying that it was like something else, but it wasn't really shade. Yours was more of a
No.
joke, you jerk. Mine was serious, but I actually did like it. But this is another hot off the presses
Ooh.
Fabricant 100. I keep wanting to call it Replicant 100, like Blade
Oh,
Runner. And
the
then I
Blade
remember
Runners.
I don't really like the Blade Runner. It's one of those movies that people love, and it would bore the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Oh,
But with all that, then again, I didn't like Tron either, and everybody yells at me about
old
that.
people
So
movies.
we're here to talk a little hot off the presses, maybe our last for a while. I'm not
Ever?
sure, maybe ever. That was last week where I was pissed off, but
That's last week,
I'm not
probably.
as pissed off this week. I'm just tired,
Yet.
hungry, and hungry of being tired is what I
Bada
am.
bing.
Does that make sense? I will
No.
not ever say I'm hangry. I don't like that term, and
Oh.
I just said it. But before we go into this episode, please go over to the Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us, we'll follow you back, and then head on over to our YouTube page, where actually we're
Ooh.
streaming this live.
Do it
Is it
live.
live if nobody's there? I don't know. It's like we're
You
in the
tell
woods
me.
and a tree has just fallen. So
Oh,
we
no.
have that, but if you go and just look up Weird Science Manga, you'll find our YouTube channel, just kind of getting things started over there. But it'd be great if you head over and check it out. Maybe subscribe, like, all that stuff
Ooh.
people say, and then go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, where you can get early access to 8 episodes of this Manga Monday show. We have a lot of bangers, a lot of
Boom.
classics waiting in the wings there. And usually when we get off of these hot off the presses deal, we end up where as we record the new Manga Monday show, that goes onto the Patreon, and then one of the latest comes off of there
Oh.
onto the regular deal. So we have a rotating thing of about 8 episodes, but you can also get early access to a lot of the manga reading clubs and all that jazz. But
Whoa.
that's that for the commercial. Here we go,
Boom.
Luke Hollywood. I hope that we are going to be liking this more than some of these new hot off the presses. Just want to say, because we
Me
haven't really
too.
loved all of them, but what is this one? And give us some information about it.
Well, I'll drop a hot take minutes into this show, Jim. I think this is the best of the bunch, and we
Oh
haven't even
my.
started
How
talking about
dare
it yet.
you?
How
Oh boy,
dare you? I
indeed,
might agree. I might agree.
Greta.
It's not perfect, but it actually it feels like something that we'll continue talking about on the weekly manga review show,
Maybe.
right? So give us some info.
Yes, indeed. This is the hot off the presses, last one of the bunch. Oh, it's
Yeah.
steaming hot. It is the Replicant 100s. We keep it 100 with this one, Jim. Bada big. It is written and drawn by Daisuke Enoshimas, who previously worked on a couple of one shots and, believe it or not, was a former assistant on The Elusive Samurai, of all
Really?
things, Jim. Oh
Something that
boy.
I don't love, but I actually
Oh
was
no.
thinking of catching up on it. And I didn't even tell you that. I knew that we wouldn't be talking about it, but I was thinking
No.
about it. I don't know why I hit
Well, you do a
that.
lot of
It is
thinking,
kind
don't
of a
you?
joke, but Elusive Samurai,
Uh,
that's cool. Okay. Any more info?
no. Well, it was
I
first
figured it's
published.
kind of a new deal then.
Yeah, very new. First published today in Weekly
Yeah.
Shonen Jump, issue 1, 2023. Problems have started now, Jim. Oh
Uh-oh.
my
Uh-oh,
goodness.
so they are finally. You were wondering when they'd start that new year. It's like the Luke New Year has hit.
Bada
Thank
bing.
God. You know what comes out then? The Wolfman.
The Wolfman.
I don't know
There we
why,
go.
but the Wolfman comes out in the Luke New Year.
It makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. But
I
that
didn't
is
mean
all
to
our.
make you not say anything there, but that's fine.
That is all our news that's fit to print. Now we jump into the chapter for the day.
But
Bada
is
bing.
it fit to print? is it
Oh.
you start off with, your normal deal with a color page, and
Mhm.
as things went on, and as they usually are, I didn't know what the hell was happening. I ended up reading it, and it's one of those, once you realize what this is all about, it makes a little more sense. It's not
Mm.
necessary, and it's in that sepia deal to give that, classic, even a
Oh.
Frankenstein
It's
look,
almost
right?
like a painted look with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
colors, like
and
very
so
heavy
it
colors.
didn't really jump out to me. It actually really didn't, but you do end up having a bunch of these fabricants and an idea, and it says, "On the far edges of a certain village, there is an estate where there once lived a doctor who was fixated on an idea of an ideal human being," and then he ends up making these fabricants, but you do end up seeing a girl kinda behind this,
Oh,
kind of
a
somewhat of
lady.
a curtain, not really. Luckily, she is just shrouded by that, and maybe even the letters or the dialogue box covers her
Mm.
up, but not really. It's just covering her head. And you
Sus.
can think later, maybe this is the girl that we get who is, the Fabricant 100. I'll tell you, I like this deal. The kid himself, a Shibi, he reminds me of I don't know. He reminds me of Damian Wayne, but it's also like a Bruce Wayne play. I put that in the Manga Plus, that this whole
He's a
story
good
really
boy.
it really reminds me of a Batman origin. There's some twists and turns here,
Mhm.
but I do like the art. I think that the designs are pretty cool
Mm.
right away, and you do end up having things that could give you some feels. And
Oh.
feels like Batman. It might feel like Full Metal Alchemist, which is what you said.
Just a bit.
I saw a bunch of people saying it feels to them like Demon Slayer. The
Oh.
idea of a family and they get taken down, it really does. It
Mhm.
has that, but you know what the deal is when you're going through this, it's kinda it feels like it's quicker than it is because 'cause it's got some page count to it,
It
but
covers a lot.
and
I'm impressed
yeah.
with how much it covers.
And so when you get to the end, it really feels like something like maybe it's because it reminded me of a bunch of things, but it felt like I already knew the it's a weird play. It's a weird thing to
Mm.
explain. Like it already felt familiar, but it was
Yeah.
new, but yet it felt I mean, of all the new ones, it's the most classic feeling
Oh,
than any
absolutely.
of them, and when we do the usual Manga Monday show and we go back and do some things from, early 2000 or 2010, but this doesn't feel
Vintage.
dated at all, like, it feels like
No.
it could be at any time. You could tell me if
It
I read
feels
this first
fresh, but
chapter.
it feels classic
Yeah,
at the same time.
and I'll tell you, just to give you some props there, I'm not tooting your
Oh.
own horn here,
Oh,
but
no.
that's kind of the opposite deal what I say when I read Full Metal Alchemist. The
Oh
idea
my
that it does
goodness.
not feel dated at all for something so old, and this just has that feel. Now,
Timeless
granted,
quality.
every other comment in the Manga Plus is saying this is gonna get the axe, but I think that that's just what everybody does now.
No,
It's
that's
getting
like the
worse and worse.
buzzword.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting worse and worse. It used to be yelling about what something replaced. That was the big thing. Now that's turned to just everything axe, axe,
Times
axe,
here.
axe. Yeah, and so I think that because track record hasn't been great for the last, I mean, how
No.
many rounds
There
of
hasn't been much that's like so far. Ginka and Gluna has stuck around a bit,
but
but
even that I'm caught up on that, by the way, if we wanted to
are
talk
you?
about it.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I ended up reading that the other day. I was just bored, and even that, though, if that got canceled, the Axe tomorrow, I wouldn't be shocked, though I like it
No.
enough. It's cute
Yeah, well,
enough
I'll
and
tell you, if
stuff, but
Tokyo Demon Bride story, not to be throwing shade when we're discussing the new book, but if Tokyo Demon Bride story got the axe tomorrow, I wouldn't mind at all.
yeah, that's
Shade.
and even stuff I'm even going back to, and you said Elusive Samurai, it's in that round, but
Mm-hmm.
that even round of, I Tell C, Candy
Oh yeah.
Flurry, then you had the next round with Red Hood and
Oh, R.I.P.
Ayeshiman, and I mean, all
A
these
lot of
ended up
duds.
a lot of duds that got canceled real early, like, they
Yeah.
did not last at all, and so, while some have remained, the track record hasn't been great, and at the point where we were talking about this months ago, maybe even a year ago, but it seems like,
Whoa.
about months ago, the idea where, okay, there's some books. Now, they're gonna hang around for a while, but My Hero
Mm-hmm.
Academia is on its last leg of the deal. They've already said
Yep.
it's gonna end
A
soon.
lot of the big guns wrapping up.
Yeah. and that is a problem. Jujutsu Kaisen, and even some other things that we think might end soon, and what's gonna replace them? I know
Mm.
Hunter x Hunter came back, so that's good, but you need something to be that classic where
Me and Raboko
one
stepping
yeah,
up to
exactly,
fill the
but
spot.
again, you laughed at the one point. One of the things that you'll say a lot of times is, "This is good, but I don't see it lasting 500 chapters. I don't see it
Nope.
lasting 1,000 chapters." Eventually, they need to find that book that can last 300, that can last
Hmm.
around the lines of a My Hero or Jujutsu Kaisen or a Demon Slayer, stuff like that, because you gotta have the big hitters. Now, I'm not saying
Long
this is it,
runners.
but it has that potential. You end up
Oh yeah.
having because
You have a rock solid foundation here.
yeah,
So you could build upon that easily.
and I like that it's kind of easy to go with. You get a couple
Mm.
characters. They're pretty well done. You
Hmm.
have the stakes. You end up having the idea of a mission statement. Like you said, there's a lot in
Absolutely.
here, and it's done
Ticks
pretty
all the
good.
boxes.
But now that I've pushed it so much, we start off though, we don't even get our main character at first. You
No.
end up where a
Big
guy,
nose.
yeah, you end up and big eyes. This guy also looks like he hasn't
Uh-oh.
slept in a while, but his girlfriend, maybe fiance coming up.
Oh,
It
to
won't
be.
it won't be.
R.I.P.
Alright to be. You end up where they're
Oh
having it. I
no.
love the idea where he is legitimately, they'll tell you later, he's about to propose, and when you do that, you have tea and cake on the train. They're
Bada
going off,
bing. The
and
best place to do it.
the worst part of this is don't ever have anybody in this world say, "You know what, Luke? You got the best shoulders I've ever seen in my life," because they are gonna be taken from you. And I like
Uh-oh.
that setup, and you don't even realize it at first because
Yep.
she says, "Oh, look." It's kind of funny too when you see it. "Oh, look at that boy running down the hill at 300 meters ahead of us." And this guy's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like, he's about to
My.
propose. It's
What
like,
2020 vision
seriously.
you
Yeah,
have,
really. She's
my
like,
fiance.
"Oh, my fiance, you have a vision like Ted Williams." You get that
Oh,
look? You have no
I
idea
do
what I
not.
just said. No
Oh
idea.
no.
Not even gonna tell you. And so,
Please.
like, "Oh my god, what is he doing? How can you see that far? You really have special, extraordinary eyes." I mean, seriously, if people were putting a ideal human together, they might want those eyes, my
Ding
love.
ding.
And I like they're eating the cake. It looks like it's weird when you see it first, it's a whole cake. Now I think somebody grabbed a piece. We end up where
Uh-oh.
this kid that she says this but is now running alongside the train. And this is like the bullet train going down.
Uh-oh.
It's going fast. And they're like, "Oh my God, he's catching up to the train." I did not expect this. I didn't
No.
expect that the person I thought it was gonna be some crazy thing like, "Oh, you forgot your bag, lady." I'm like,
Yeah,
"What?"
I thought it was going to be like the main protagonist. Oh, look
No.
at the plucky
And
kid
and
running along the
it's
train.
funny, even with the cover or the front page, the credits page,
Hmm.
even with that, I'm thinking that this has to just be a robot. I'm telling you, I'm going straight up gag in my mind. I'm thinking this would be like, again, Roboco, and
Hmm.
somebody forgot their notebook, and Roboco
Uh-oh.
would run super fast,
Give
and
me
like,
a slice of
"Oh,
that
yeah,"
cake.
I grab the cake, and then I'm really thinking that this is gonna be, like, for laughs. It's not for
It gets
laughs.
sinister. Oh,
A
jeez.
hand reaches in, and again, the more you read the chapter here, you'll even see little things because when the arm reaches in the first time I
Uh-oh.
read it, I did not see the stitches.
Stitches?
I didn't know anybody in here was snitching. I ended up where now you see it. I just it kind of was, oh my God, you're just looking at the deal. Actually, I think I
Mm.
was drawn right to I wonder how much that skirt's gonna go up as he's pulling out. I'm like, oh my.
Pretty
But yeah,
sus.
and look how quick it is though, because the guy, he doesn't even get to react.
Nope.
He's really like the same deal there, and she just gets yanked out of the train. And then the second time I read it, I even thought to myself, "Yeah, that's pretty damn scary." I mean, you're on a
It sure
train.
is.
You would think that, hey, the train might derail like this podcast already has, but
Boom.
you don't expect somebody to run up to you and grab
He
you
didn't
out.
buy a ticket.
Yeah, really? No ticket. And it's crazy. And it's a really like a horror movie type deal that I
Oh
think
yeah.
was really cool.
Especially like with how it continued, it's almost like the case file because you get like the
Yeah.
description of what happened, and that happens a couple of times in this book where like it almost goes like it gets very text heavy, but I think it actually works. Usually that throws me off, but it actually works when it's setting up the scene like this, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and so you end up she gets yanked out, and it's such a violent yanking, half of the table deal
Hmm.
is off, and he's there, and he's like, "Luna?" And she's gone, and this was again, you see the cake splattered just like
Oh
his
no.
dreams, just like his
Ooh.
heart. The only thing I got mad at this scene, though, I'm like, the train. Well, who has a bookshelf in the train? I mean, seriously, you're there. These books are flying all over the place.
Oh
Do you
my
think
goodness.
that that bookcase that they're like not real books? They're actually just like
Yeah,
they're
display.
molded into the deal. They're glued to the thing because the trains I've been on are pretty bumpy. I don't know. Also, I was like, man, this is a fancy room for a train. I just
I'm
thought
telling you,
they were in
this
the
is
dining car.
first
Yeah,
class.
really. I thought they were in like the dining
You get
car.
that cake delivered.
Seriously, look at the you got, like, I don't know, it looks like china on that shelf back there.
Oh
That's
my
just
goodness.
asking for trouble. But again, I guess the guy doesn't really care because now he wanted to become a husband, but yet he became a widow. He didn't even know it, Luke. He had no idea. This guy
His train has reached its final
yeah,
destination.
really, no ticket indeed. I ended up where I laughed though later because I swear to God, there's a little wink, wink that he is a stinking drunk. But we'll go from here. And again, we haven't seen our protagonist yet. We haven't really
No.
gotten that, but we do get the deal. And I think that this is again, I love the progression at points in this book where you do get the case file, like you said.
Mhm.
And then you
Mhm.
do actually almost like it's almost like true crime all of a sudden. You have
Yeah.
the bobbies out
You
there.
the
Look at them.
dun dun dun
Yeah,
dun
yeah,
dun
exactly.
dun.
Because you end up seeing their little case. You see the
Oh.
police. Of course, in most of these things like that, they're dumbfounded. They're like, "Oh my God, what have we found?" They go, "I think this is a tree." They're like, "That's my leg, you jerk."
Very
But
good.
they end up where they search for this woman. They can't find her. And then I guess somebody, calls them, "Hey, I thought you searched that tree area." "Oh, we did." "Well, you better search it again because the lady is back. She is dead, and
Uh-oh.
somebody has"
Keep an eye out
Yeah,
for her.
really. Oh my goodness gracious. She's missing her eyes.
Oh no.
Did you get that connection right away? That they grabbed
No.
her eyes because I forgot all about it because of the
Me
horrific
too.
death, right? But that's the
You're so
play.
in shock by, and that's what you said. Like when you go back, there is a lot. Like, this first chapter, there is a lot going on with it.
Yeah.
And when like when you go back and reread, you notice things stand out, and it all clicks together very well. I'm telling you, this is not a foundation of sand,
No.
Jim. This is rock solid.
It might be concrete. Is what you're saying,
Ooh,
right? It's not aluminium either. Is that how you say it?
indeed.
I can't stand how my mom says it. You end up where even though and you said that when you go back, you see a lot of things. But the cool
Mm.
thing about it, if you don't go back, if you're lazy like some people, not pointing
Uh-oh.
fingers, but you don't feel confused. It's not we're not
No.
saying you have to go back and read it twice. There's some that we
Yeah.
do say that, and usually it's because there's a problem, and you have
Yeah.
to really this actually plays out very well one time through. When you go back, it actually just accentuates a lot of the things. Like I said, I didn't
Oh.
notice earlier that that hand ended up having stitches, and it will be mentioned. They'll ask
Mm.
that guy did they and I just figured, well, I guess he saw it. I actually thought he was gonna say it was too quick. I didn't see anything, but he
Mm.
says he did. So, but when you see that again, or when you go and, oh yeah, her eyes, like she really did have really good eyes. It wasn't again, the husband or to be says, "Man, you can see better than me." That's about it.
Yeah.
It's not like,
There's a
"Oh
way
my
of doing
God, you
it
have a
that's
superior eyesight, my
yeah.
love." Like we were
It
joking.
could have been a real hokey way of doing
Yeah.
it, but it's done real subtly, which makes it so much more satisfying when you notice it and when you
Yeah.
put it all
And
together.
again, some of these things we're saying, I mean, probably some of these they're like, "What are these guys saying?" I guess I knew that right away. Like that was a big deal. But if you
Well, we are
didn't,
dummies.
if you're dummies like us, it
Yeah.
actually I love when you read something. I rarely by myself for pleasure read
Oh,
something twice. but I do like doing it for the obviously, I
Mm.
do it for the podcast because I can't remember crap about crap, but when I go back and read something like this, it does end up elevating my score, realizing, "Oh
Mm.
my god, like, that really was set up well," because then we go
Layers.
and I'm telling you, then we get to the point where, "Okay, I think that we're getting the gag stuff again," and I
This
think
yeah,
that
this here, I'm
yeah.
Gag Manga City, and I loved it.
Yeah, and it even has a little Food Wars. It even
Oh,
has another thing. What did we had something recently where they actually did dissect a burger, and I can't remember what it was, and it was almost like this, but the play here too that I love, just to set it up for what they're doing, you end up going and we see our main character, Ashibi Yao, and
mm,
he's on the train. I mean, they're eating a meal, he's eating a hamburger. The woman that's with him is not eating anything, but because of the name of the manga and because I kept thinking Roboko, it was not a surprise that she was not exactly what she seemed. I thought she was a robot.
mm.
I actually thought that that was what this was about. She was a
She does
robot.
act very quirky
Yeah,
here.
and the fun play is she's very fun. She
Mm.
seems to be somebody who's really, really concerned with the health
Overprotective.
and overprotective, but even people watching and seeing the scene where she's like, "Oh my god, you can't eat." She actually wants to chew like a bird. She wants to chew up the hamburger and then spit the hamburger stuff into this kid's mouth because
Yummy, yummy.
it's too big a burger for him to eat and he
The
might choke.
Chainsaw Man
Let me
away
let
doing
me
it.
tell you, and I again because of the deal, but I'll reveal, and you will too, some stuff a little ahead of what we find out. She doesn't care about him because she loves him. She
No.
cares about him
All this
because, yeah, it's so crazy, right? Like,
so like it's gag here, but and
yeah,
we're talking about layers on the reread. This becomes so much more sinister
it's
when
dark
you
as
know
heck
the
when
full
you know what's
story.
going on. This is basically like, "Hey, don't you mess with my cow. Oh, there. Kill the cow and get the steaks." I mean, that
Yeah.
she wants his body, and not in that way.
Oh,
She ends
hello.
up where you'll see by the end, like, she's overprotected because she needs him to grow up and
He's
live.
a piece of meat, but a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good piece of meat.
Exactly, some of the best. So,
Oh.
yeah, he's almost again, you know what? She treats him like a veal, and it's
Mm.
not even like a metaphor even, that's what she's doing. She doesn't want any possibility that he could have any sort of thing happen to him because she needs his body because she is gonna use all of his parts to become more human,
Oh.
and that's crazy, and when you first read it, though, you don't get it, because you wouldn't. It's such a good play,
No.
though, that she's so concerned, and, yeah, she's taking apart the burger, and people are watching, "Oh my god, that must be his governess. She's really overbearing and overprotective, but, it must be neat to have somebody like that." It's so sa if they knew what was going
It's
on,
messed up.
oh, it's so messed up, but then you get where again, you wanna hear dummies? You get this dude that starts talking to him. It's not a dude. It's clearly a woman. For some reason, it took me like 3 pages. I don't know why. It has the
Look at
beads and
them
stuff and the
pearls.
pearls. I'm like, but again, when I read it again, I'm like, are we playing the idea that there's a lot of Batman references in here with the
Oh
pearl?
my
Because
goodness.
he
Don't
does,
go
and
down crime
he
alley.
he does end up playing off like that classic trope of, I'm gonna avenge my parents' or family's
Oh,
death.
once we hear this story, Bruce Wayne City
Yeah,
up here, I'm
it's a
telling
lot
you.
Bruce Wayne, but he's there and he we haven't got much of him yet, right? He just
Mm.
ends up where he's yelling at his the woman there and yelling at her, "Listen, I don't need you puking in my mouth. I'll get cavities. I have a lot of other problems." And it's funny because when he says that, she is full out like ready to punch somebody, it looks like, and then she's like, "Okay, well, yeah, we can't have that." Again, though, that's not because she likes him. It's that but there's the other layer. By the
Mm.
end, I think she does like him. I mean, obviously, you're getting
Oh.
to a point where I think that if we did get to an end game and she has to decide what's going on, I don't know, I think that
Oh.
she wants to be a human. Little did she know she always was. She wants to
Ooh.
feel, but it's good, and it's weird. We're done this one scene. We don't get much of these characters yet, and I
Mm.
like them already. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They're not
It
exactly
very
the
quickly
nicest, right? But
no. but they have this kind of chemistry between them, and it's very easy to get attached.
Yeah. I would like to say that it's like this podcast, but I know better.
Ooh,
But even them just there's a funny play of them fighting with each other,
yeah,
but at
they're
this point,
bickering.
it's such a good play to make it seem like this woman cares about him, that it might be his
It
mother. It
feels
might
like we're
be
already like with full. I know we said just like Full Metal Alchemist, but that felt like you were beginning the story and it was already in motion. And
yeah,
here it feels like we are joining these people, and they've already been on lots of adventures, and we're just joining him at this stage. But it doesn't feel like we're missing out on anything either.
yeah.
It's very well played.
And again, chewing up a burger and spitting it in the mouth, that's so extreme. If this would have just been like, "Let me, cut your burger up," or "Let me check
Mm.
that burger," and then he said, "What do I need you to check it for?" Then you're like, "Oh, I get it.
Jeez.
He's a brat. She has to take care of him, but she's,
Mm.
getting it." But it's not like that. It's so extreme of "Let me chew it up and spit it in your mouth," that it becomes funny, and then you don't get annoyed with a Shibi because you're right, like, "I don't wanna see that." And then they're
Yeah.
they're just also, I love the idea that we said it before. You said, first class. They're on the same train. You end up finding
Hmm.
and they're in first class. This is a
Uh,
and they're screaming and yelling and throwing burgers around and stuff, so it's funny. And then you have this one lady like, hey, I don't know about you guys, pretty brave going on this
oh,
train." I'm like,
so
I'm
strange.
thinking to myself, is this where she wants a backhanded compliment? Because she's on
Yeah.
the train too, right? What does that
Jeez.
mean? And it's like, yeah, that incident, you're aware of that, right? And just matter of factly, this kid says, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're here to investigate that." And I love where it's not even that important to him that he's eating the burger then and stuff. Like he's not even being very polite about it. He just, "Oh yeah, yeah, we know about that. We're gonna end up figuring that out." And they're like, "Oh, why would you want to investigate?" And I wanted him to say, "To solve the case, lady." I mean,
Bada
seriously.
bing.
But
Crack
he
the code.
says, "We're gonna punish the one responsible." And again, there's layers when you reread this, but when he's
Mm.
saying this, but this whole deal is there's a lot of unsolved murders, all these things going on. And one of them, at least, would be the deal where out of nowhere, you get the stuff thrown at you because you end up where this kid, the lady "Oh, you're a Shibi Yao." And I love where he's like, "Huh? Like, how'd you know that?" And he's got crap all over his mouth. He's eating that burger. It is bigger than his head. But the big play here is that he's part of this Yao family that is very special. They end up and
Oh.
and again, it's thrown at you that normally I would say like, "What? What's going on here?" But again, you're throwing out like ridiculous concepts, but you're
Hmm.
serious about them, and that's
Yeah,
how
when
it is.
everybody's playing it naturally, it feels natural to
Yeah.
you as well.
Yeah, it's this lady who's there is doing a very good job of showing you the lay of the land. Like, "Oh, you're
Hmm.
the Yao family." And the big play is they live to like 200 years old and they never age and they do this, but
What the heck?
she doesn't sit there and say, "I never believed it," or "You're a bunch of nonsense," or "That's bullcrap." No, that's it. That's
It's a
them.
shame they all died.
Yeah, and they got murdered. So you wonder, okay, they could live all this time and look at them. They're
Uh-oh.
all, they look like they're all influencers, right? They're all sexy and all,
Whoa.
except that one guy who was 118, had those glasses and that weird nose. That
Glasses.
guy shouldn't have been
Ancient
there.
glasses.
He really sticks out. He looks like I don't know, like an owl or something. They probably wanted him
Uh-oh.
out anyway. But
Jeez.
seriously, whoever got his face, they got the short end of the But oh, they got hacked away, pieces of them missing. Again,
Uh-oh.
like the eyes earlier, right? So the big play is, oh my God, this kid was the sole survivor. He was a young boy, only 14 years old. And so if you're going to sit there and say, well, that's ridiculous. Like, why wouldn't he get killed? They killed, what was the situation? Oh, we'll find out. And it makes complete sense. And
Mhm.
really, it's these things that attack, just like we saw earlier, these fabricants, and they
Mm.
they need the body to be a little older. So it makes sense. He was left behind just because he was the veal that wasn't ready. But they would come after him if he was. But then that's
Mm.
when you see all this is going down, and then drunk widow. I mean, he really is, right? I mean, he falls off his
Another
chair,
bottle.
spills that bottle of wine. I already said that if this train was bumpy, I don't think they would have had a bookshelf. So he is completely
Big
drunk.
problems.
What are you talking about with his pinstripe suit? I love the idea. It's like, yeah, can't bring her back, but I'll ride that train till the day is long. He's there. He
The
says,
hell.
he's like, I'm a third rail boy now because he falls down. You do end up like the guy running and like, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, I'm just drunk. And the lady's like, yeah, like that drunk.
Give me another.
Don't you cut me off, you bastard. And they're like, you know what was cut off? Your fiance's eyes. I mean, the best. Drunkard here, he gets, and then you realize it's him, and yeah, I guess, he would be upset. And then I'm
Do
thinking
you think
the
that's
idea.
the same suit? I don't think he's changed.
It might be. He's never. It's
Oh.
almost like the problem is like they say, and it's morbid, but the idea, a kid dies, you don't change the room. It just stays like that. Well, they didn't have a room. They just had this stupid train, so he puts on the same suit and goes on the train, even though he
Get
seems
me a return ticket forever.
he seems to want to get over this, but yet he's riding this train. Oh my God. So he's drunk. He gets up, and then we see it's him. And now the Pearl, we'll call her Pearls. Pearl starts its gossip. Pearl's now like, that's the guy who lost his fiance. Oh my God.
No.
And that's where you have the lady who's with our main character. What a downer. And I will tell you, the only thing that annoyed me in any capacity in this is I'm reading it on my tablet. I have bad vision, and some of the little whispery talk, it was real small, so I did have to enlarge, but that's kind of the
Zoom
play.
in.
That's
You
what
need
you had
to get
to do.
some better eyeballs.
Yeah, really, I need that lady.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
that guy will be double
Please.
drunk. She'll come back, I'll grab her eyes. Now he's doing heroin in the
no.
subway. He's not even on the train anymore. But they're like, hey, excuse. And so, yeah.
First class is pricey.
It's funny where Pearls then go, didn't you not want to talk to him? Like, uh-oh, we better get on it. And they yell for him, hey, can you come over here? Now, one thing by the end, I don't know why, but I kind of wanted this guy to remain with him. I thought that he would play out like almost like
he
an
almost
Alfred,
plays like
almost something.
the plucky sidekick.
Yeah, like,
dude
and
here.
the play would be you have the little kid who's the detective and the older, and what else is he going to do? This guy's riding the rails all the time. He has a lot of free time. I wish he stayed with them. I really do.
Yeah.
Because even him, by the time, he doesn't really do that much, but I kind of do like him, and I like that you have it when we get to it. He's the surprised guy factor, like even the idea that Pearls is explaining the world. I like that you had to explain things to him as well when all the crap went down. But
You know, Jim, I hate to say it again, just like Full Metal Alchemist, but he does have that rose vibes. You remember that girl?
yeah,
that
the
they
girl
meet?
at the beginning.
And you think like,
Even
oh,
in that,
she's gonna
and she
join the
left
team?
then. She left, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but she was there long enough to set up things. And maybe that would be the play. Have him stick around for 5 chapters, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to get the hell out of here. Now,
I guess this
seriously,
is my last stop.
Rose, who is my bias, by the way, when you end
Bada
up
bing.
having that in Full Metal Alchemist, I'm telling you, when they ditched her, it was not, it was not nice. They ended up leaving her just like with nothing. They're like, we're getting out of here. And it really shocked me when me and Ruben were talking about that and doing that podcast. I was like, that shocked the heck out of me. Like, oh man, but again, I wanted her to stay. Then I kind of want him to stay with that weird nose of his, like Jimmy
big nose.
Durante. But this is where you end up having more, and I think it's really well done. I'm really impressed that this is just somebody who was a helper on Elusive Samurai, because there's more to this than just good art, which I do like the art, but they have the idea of how to plot things, and what they do the best is they tell you things at a point where you think you know everything, but then you find out you didn't, but then you realize
Extra details.
there's extra details that play out in the plot, the way that the pacing goes. It's better than having it all at once at the beginning, because you'll forget about
Absolutely.
things, and when you get more, now we've dealt with 20 pages, and now we're in, and then the more actually makes more sense because we have the whole deal, because he ends up where Ashibi says, hey, did the thing, did you see this creature? Did it have stitches? Were there
Oh.
stitches? And that's where you see that hand again. And then I'm like, yep. And he says, yes, yes. How would you know that? How would you know such a thing? And then you get like almost like a Wikipedia entry, but it doesn't feel forced. You
No.
get back to actually a continuation of that first page of the
Mm-hmm.
doctor who was making these. Like that just ended with almost like a, you know, it was like the trailer to a movie, but now when we get to this, it continues that to give you the actual details and how this is set up, that this doctor was trying to make the replication of the, a perfect human. And yeah,
And
it's
it
it's a
became sus.
Frankenstein. It's easy to think of what it is. We've seen this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the problem is he died in the middle of this, and it is the idea. If Frankenstein, who I will have to tell you is the doctor, not the monster there,
Oh,
as
good
you
to
have
know.
people tell you that at the dinner parties. If
Ding
Dr.
ding.
Frank if he died and then the monster just said, "You know what? I kind of like that idea of what the doc was doing. I'm gonna
I do
continue
be needing
this."
some
Yeah, I
eyeballs
need
right
some
about
eyeballs, and
now.
and really what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to try to be the ultimate, and it becomes almost without being it, but it is kind of a contest. You don't realize it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's all these because I thought what was happening was that there was one and like, "Oh, man, I'm gonna make another," and then the 2 of them are gonna make 3 of them, and then it's not quite that.
Multiplied.
There is a number of these, fabricants that the doc made,
Yes.
but he ends up where all of these want to achieve the goal. So it is kind of a contest like, "Oh my god, it's the Hunger Games of awful stitched together monsters. They're
And there
gonna
is
do this."
rankings as well,
Yeah, and
and which is good as well because as we go forward the mission statement, we already know straight away. Okay, this one's going to be a big deal. It's
yeah,
this number.
and
It's
you have a number.
very well played.
Yep, and just to think of what that means, when the doctor made the first one, he didn't know what the heck he was doing, right? But then when he got to the 100th or whatever, he had all
Pro.
the experience of the others. It makes sense. He is
Mm-hmm.
doing experiments. So the early ones, there's failures. Oh, I tried this, Hey, I guess that third leg did work, right?
Oh.
The idea of, oh, I messed up. Let me use that info, go on. So yeah, as you
Mm-hmm.
get higher in the rankings, and the rankings are just when you were made. Okay,
Numbers.
you're the
Yeah.
80th one. The 80th one's going to be a
Batch
lot better
number.
than the 50th because you
Mm-hmm.
learned your deal. Now, what really would happen if the doctor did not die, he would have gotten lazy about, number 300, and then it would have dipped a little, the quality. Because once you're doing
Jinx.
something that long, you're like, I know what I'm doing, and everything
Yeah,
goes
phone
wrong.
it in.
It's like those people who they have a job and you see them, you're like working somewhere, and like, "Oh, look at that go-getter." Like they're day 2, day, 30. They're like, they're right with everybody else, lazy as hell. You end up learning the laziness. So you end up having all that, but yeah, you have that deal of and now it really makes sense. The idea that these fabricants, they go around then to be the ultimate version, they're grabbing body parts. They're grabbing,
Mm-hmm.
say, eyeballs, eyes that can
Oh,
see better than normal. That's the
they
only
have eyes
reason.
on you, Jim.
Yeah,
Oh my
really. And
goodness.
they do seem to be able to, suss this out. They can say, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, she's got great eyeballs." Goes
They
after the
got
eyeballs.
their good body part sense be
Yes, they
tingling.
do. They do, and this makes sense, and actually, I'm telling you, I think that drunk guy, this might make it better for him, like, at least he doesn't have closure, it seems, but there's a reason that it happened. I think that
Hmm.
this might end up helping him, like, the idea, I don't know, this thing out of nowhere it's because of her stupid eyes. Always bragging about those eyes. You know that she was.
Jesus.
It probably was. She's, like, yelling, "I have the best eyes ever," and then, "What?" You end up getting this fabric and take 'em. I do like that you have the tree and the floating eyeballs. But that is the big deal, and this guy is very intrigued by Ashibi and, like, how does this kid
Hmm.
know? Like, this it. That's why they took Luna's eyes. Luna I like where you get her more spelled out than him, but, oh my god, this was Luna's eyes. That's why they grabbed it. Why would this kid know? But it is because of his family, and it says, "What if the Yao family was massacred by these fabricants to take their youth and longevity?" He's
Uh-oh.
cracked the code. I guess what
Ding
they're
ding.
saying is everybody knows that the family got murdered, but it's an unsolved mystery like those
Hmm.
others. he realizes what happened then, and it's true. That's why
This
his
is why
family's
he
not around.
deserves to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
Big Nose needs to be part of the squad.
And I like that all this goes, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a pretty crazy story, but I'll bite." So what now? I'm like, "All right, he's in." I really thought that he was gonna be, and I'm just as kind of a
Let me
thing going,
punch my ticket out of
and
here.
yeah, I'm guessing he's rich, but it also seems like the Yao money, yeah, Ishibi got that, so he's rich too. But they
Mm,
might come into situations where you need like that adult. I'm thinking that you're
mhm.
gonna get that lady who we don't know anything about her. She's just there.
No.
They're gonna have to pretend they're married. We get a little spy family action going on.
Bada
Oh, it'd be
bing.
hilarious, but that's not to be. I actually even thought
Oh.
maybe that they'll fall in love, but again, it
Oh.
seems like he goes off. Legitimately, at the very, very beginning, I thought that they might have stolen her eyes, but then you realize once it's played out, okay. And yeah, like, oh, yeah, and you end up having this back and forth. And this might go on a little too long, and it's stressed, and you
Mm.
kind of get like, you got to slap this guy in the face because he's like,
Yeah, he
eh,
does be getting big notions here for a side character.
yeah,
He'd be
and
dropping fact bombs on this
yeah,
kid, and
fact
I'm like,
bombs, and
listen,
then
listen, buddy, go back to the bottle of wine,
really,
please.
what are you sobering up, pal? But he
Jeez.
also like you're reading a manga. So we're waiting for like the idea of I'm going to avenge everybody. I'm going to get them. But this guy just keeps going on and on. He's like,
Yep.
"Listen, I
What's the
don't
point?
care. What's the point?" Like this is why he's drinking. But it goes beyond because he says, and this is where I realize maybe he won't stick around, but still,
Oh,
I wouldn't mind because he changed. Because he says, "Listen, I talked to the police, and those dummies, they can't figure out anything.
jeez.
There's no leads." And then I'd go back to my apartment, and it was empty, so nothing I was doing was bringing her back. And he ends up then saying, "It goes too far." And you know what? If I went out and found who did this and stopped them, yeah, it might help other people in the future, but who cares about them jerks? He actually tries to
Pour
twist
me
it like,
another
"They don't
drink.
care about me." Yeah, really, I only care about 2 people. Jack and Daniels is who I care
Bada
about.
bing.
So, yeah, you end up where he really is a sad sack. I'm like, "Come on now, come on." Now, I also think that maybe if this goes on enough, I don't know for a fact that it's weird, but I get the idea this guy would go to the extremes to try to make himself his own Luna Fabricant. I
Whoa.
got that crazy deal, but he ends up like, who cares? I don't care." And at that point, you even see a Shibi. He's pretty pissed. I mean, look at the little
Mhm.
guy. He's standing there. He's got the fist going. And he says, "Why is it that you want to catch these human fabricants?" And he just stares at him and doesn't say anything. Now, old drunkie, he already had kind of figured out maybe this kid's family got killed. So now he's just being a jerk in my mind. But they end up where this lady steps up and says, "Hey, we're going to see one now. You want to see a fabricant?" And you end up where Ashibi says, "You want to come with us?" As if this will convince, "Okay, we'll show
Mm,
you how this
the
is."
real
But
deal.
what's going on? What does this mean? How do they know? And they go
Jeez.
out. Now you find out again, the layers are they're on the train, not because they think a fabricant may attack the train. They're on the train just because this is an area, where there was a fabricant, and now they're
Mhm.
gonna draw it out. So you end up like I thought, what are they doing there? They're just going up and down the rails. They're
Investigating.
not gonna get attacked. I mean, what are the chances of that? But they're actually gonna draw them out, and how they draw them out is pretty crazy. What you end up doing is a Shibi does cut himself. He even
Oh.
has this little special, ring that he uses to
And
cut himself.
if you go back to that lead, like we talk about going back and getting
Mhm.
more, if you go back to that double page spread, the color page, that's what he's doing there. And
Yep.
when I first saw that, I was like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah,
But
you
now
don't
it
know
all
what's
makes
going on.
sense.
Yep, and so he's cutting his, like, little down, like, you better watch out because he ain't playing. It's going vertical. That means business, and he's cutting
Serious
himself
business.
to bleed because this bleeding again, this feels like a demon slayer thing. You
Mhm.
end up where the blood, and especially his blood, which is this special Yao family longevity blood, it's gonna
Oh.
draw out if the fabricant is still there, it's gonna draw him out, and the fabricant is still there, because as you're going, all of a sudden, boom, you get the fabricant, which it's a guy. I thought it was a girl again. I'm always wrong, and really played out to me. I'm like,
That
oh,
long
look at it.
hair.
It's Harley Quinn. It's what it reminded me of, and I'm like, I don't mind. I thought it was fun.
Running Harley Quinn.
Yeah, really. And so the fun play of this too is you could sit there and a lot of books you can say, "Oh my God, Shibi, what are you doing? This guy's gonna get killed. Like, why would you put him in danger? He ain't
Mm.
special. I mean, they're definitely not getting his liver. That thing is shot, is drunk, but there's no
Womp
reason.
womp.
There'd be no reason for them to they only go for special
Mm.
people, special things. So at first I thought, like, oh my God, this guy's gonna die. But even a little bit later, just to
He's the
nail it
safest
down,
one there.
yeah, and to nail it down later, you do even have this, Fabricant say, you only go and attack and kill for a reason. You don't just randomly kill. They don't end up just randomly killing people. They don't need to eat people. They're not zombies. They're not vampires. They're looking for extremely great body parts. That's it.
Mhm.
So if you don't have that, you're never going to be in danger. Me and
Not on
you,
the
we are
list.
fine. That
Ding
PlayStation
ding.
sweater, watch out. It's going to grab that thing right away and run. But yeah,
Oh no.
oh my goodness. So in that though, told Ashibi, you would think, "Oh my God, he is in so much danger." But this is the layers again. I mean, I can't go
Layers.
enough about how good these layers are, where you
It's
find
very
out
well
why
set
he
up.
survived when his family got killed. Because this Fabricant says, "Wait a minute, how old are you? You're not old enough. That you have to be like 18." The age of consent to get body
Them's the
parts,
rules for
right? And
body parts.
it isn't even an idea of like, "You little guy, like you're 4 foot." No, it's just an age deal. You have to kind of ripen a little before we do this. We don't need to be canceled in the Fabricant world.
Yes,
So he's
indeed.
safe. But now we get the more layers. And the worst part though is before that, you're sitting there and it's like all of a sudden this Fabricant's gonna play I Spy with Drunksy. He's got his fiancée Luna's eyes. "You
I
licked
got
my
my eye on you.
It's so funny, and he's like, "Oh my God, like, give them back." What does he want them back? I can
Yeah. What
imagine
are you
he's
gonna
like,
do with those?
they go, he gets them back, all of a sudden, like, we see random pictures at the end of their hot romance, the eyeballs, they're in Hawaii on their honeymoon. "Oh my God,
Next to
my
the bottle of
love,
wine.
eyes love you." You end up where I thought because he's like, "Give them back." I swear to God, I thought that this guy had his head taken off because there's this whoosh, but
Yeah.
it's just so quick. But you
Mm.
realize that it's not what we thought it was because then we see the hat with the tassels. It's
Oh.
it's this governess. And it did shock me. I didn't know what was
Mhm.
going on at
'Cause she's
first.
been in the background for a lot, like, ever
Yeah.
since the burger chewing, she
Yeah.
hasn't done much.
And I'll tell you, because of the idea that this Fabricant that they drew out was a boy, a guy, you really accentuate that this is a woman that's there. I mean, holy moly.
Oh, hello.
But as she's reaching towards us, she's grabbing this other and her hand is turned into like a awful claw like
Creepy
deal.
demon hand.
And then whether or not you noticed before, but oh my God, her head has stitches.
Stitches.
This is a head that was put on.
Oh
She's
my
a
goodness.
fabricant. So you're like, holy crap! Like all along, this is the deal. It's
It is
still,
so well played with this, with the page turn and with the reveal. When you go back and you remember the speed
yeah,
with because it's with this guy again, it's with Big Nose. The first time he had that speed,
yeah,
and it's the second time it's the speed, and he notices the stitches. It plays out
yeah,
exactly the same time,
yeah.
but it's coming
And
from
you're like,
her
oh
this
my
time.
God, yeah, she's stitches. And again, you
Hmm.
go with the funny play is when we go and he's gonna end up using these legs again because he's fast. You kind of forget about that because now he's got the eyes, but it makes sense. He grabbed Usain Bolt's legs. I mean, he
There you
grabbed
go.
somebody really fast, their legs. I would think that you just want like something that would look good in like stockings or something. Because again, you have like as Usain Bolt's legs on my body, you got troubles. You ain't going
Yeah, you
very
see, like
fast,
there's
right?
different types. Like I don't know, like their human body part senses be tingling, but maybe they want the sexy legs over the speedy
Yeah, who
legs.
knows? It
The
is a
decisions,
subjective
decisions.
matter, you know? But
Mm.
again, just think of this. You have a numbers ranking of how good they are as a base rank. You know, the number one is not the best. That's the worst. That's the first one he made. There's going to have clunkiness. But
Yes.
you also add something in a weird way. You add superpowers because they have grabbed fast legs. Or you'll get a guy who has like the real strong left arm. Or
Yeah.
you'll end up with somebody who has makes no sense, but it would hear. You grab somebody who can hear well, you just grab their ears and put them on,
Well,
and you can hear well. So it almost gives you
my
those
big
special.
toe is the
Yeah,
best
exactly.
big toe around.
Exactly. So you end up where like, oh man, that's the coolest haircut, emo haircut that you hate. But yeah,
Oh
so
no.
that adds a weird layer of like superpowers because this guy can
Yeah.
run really, really fast because of those legs. Now he can also see very well. He himself is upping the ante and he
Mm-hmm.
might become, and the race to be the superior one. But
The ranking
we'll
goes
find
up.
out. There's also a lot of these Fabricants missing, but we'll get that in a bit because, yeah, this whole deal is, oh my God, she's one of them. We find out, we're like, oh my God. And that's where we again flash back to a Shibi when his family gets killed. Maybe, and it's done in a way so it works that this is a reveal. It's not just the origin
Mm.
of this, but it's also a surprise reveal after we now see that this woman with him that was really concerned with him is actually a fabricant. So we go to see this deal, and yeah, these fabricants came in and they ended up killing everyone. And even to the point where his sister got slashed. She is bleeding out, but she still
Sliced and
smiles.
diced.
Doesn't want a Shibi to be upset. And she's hugging him
Ooh,
as she's dying
gems.
out. I thought that, the idea, but you get this play of like that's kind of the replica. I wanted to have more of like they made the sister full out into it, but it kind of plays out. But you end up where he's a smart kid.
Mm.
He, I guess, kind of gets on board right away with their plan or whatnot and says, listen, I'm gonna be the best, and I will train. It's almost like the Bruce Wayne, a little Bruce Wayne saying to Joe Chill in that alley. Listen, if you really want to kill somebody really good, give me some years. I'm going to train like hell.
I'm gonna have the
I'm
best
going to come
body
back and
around.
then you shoot my buddy because he says where he realizes, listen, you killed my family, all that, but what I'm going to do is I am going to train till I'm 18 and then whoever wants me. But here's the deal. We're having a contest right now, jerks kill each
Oh.
other. The one person who remains will go with me and get my body, and they go. They attack everybody's attacking each other. He really wipes out what looks like half of the, fabricant community
Mhm.
right there by turning them against each other. And they end up, yeah, he says, please eliminate all the fabricants from the world. And so that's the mission in this. It's the craziest mission. We find out this fabricant that is like a governess to him has been promised his body when he's 18. But in the meantime, the only way that's going to work and the only way he will keep himself, because really he has no family, nothing.
Mm.
It's dark. But if he really wanted to get back, he'd just kill himself and then they'll never get him. He's not of
Yeah.
age. So he says, I will make sure that I don't do anything bad. I'm not going to drink like, some drunks like I'll meet later. I'm not going to do the
Oh no.
heroines or the meth. Maybe a little coke, but that's because I'm tired, right? Like stuff like that. But he says, do this. And yeah, it does stick with them and they do it. And this, here you go. The girl that we see, the girl that's with them was the winner. And you see, she's got just
Ding ding.
blood. She's got heads all over, all that
Head for
stuff.
days.
The only
Oh.
thing that I kind of wish that she got the sister's head for some reason. I don't
For
know
some,
why.
like when I
It
first
almost
read it,
looks like it, right?
yeah, it's so similar. I was like, did the sister become the
Yeah, and
replicant?
that's what I
So
thought, and I
she's
thought, "Okay, now that's a real crazy twist because he's
yeah.
there kinda getting his sister back, but it's not," but yeah, it's not, and seriously, there's a weird play because it does look like this fabricant has a head that they like,
Mm,
does that change your brain? Do you know what happened before? Do you have the
yeah.
very odd, but you don't have to deal with that because, yeah, and said this only took a moment. Again, layers, the layers are? This is one of the later models, and it is,
Oh,
as the title, Fabricant 100. I
the
thought that
latest.
as we were going on, and we do get to it, but I thought this was gonna be like the trope title of "Gotta kill 100 fabricants," but it's not that's her number, and so,
Mm,
yeah, she's pretty good, and just to really, nail that in while she is fighting this eyes, legs, he says, "Oh my god, you're 100? Like, you're better than me. Like, I'm
The
way
jig
back."
is up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm in trouble. But I like the idea that even a 20 might be able to beat a 50 if you have enough body parts that went on,
Hmm.
but it would
Yeah,
be
you see,
easier for the
like
50 to go. You do end up evening up some things. It works out.
it's a fascinating power ranking because
Yeah.
it's one where it does. Yeah, we already have basically the best on the team. So, but we have the ability for our enemies to rank up if they
Yeah.
begin to use say bump
Yeah.
legs and the fancy eyes. It's a so clever way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. You get like the Billie Eilish vocal cords. You got that going on. You
Ding
got the
ding.
Blackpink dance moves. I don't know how you get those, but
Upgrade.
man, we're really going. Uh, but yeah, and the big play here is he commits his body to them or her, and then she says, "As long as you have the superior body of other human, then I will obey you of me." So that's a play that people are already wondering in the comments, like what happens when not the superior weapon if you end up, but this is pretty well spelled out that this family was so special with everything, and they're all wiped out but him. Maybe we'll find
Mhm.
out. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if out of nowhere, oh man, my second cousin, it's like some spunky girl that comes in like his same age, and maybe that will
Oh,
like there are, things that could happen that would really be some fun stuff. But you end up where, yeah, they're going and doing this, but that's where you end up having this fabricant like, really? You're 100? Like, I am screwed. Oh my god, and he is. He is screwed, but he does try to run away, and this made me laugh. I was a little confused at first, but it makes me laugh because he's like, "You know what? I don't have to fight. There's no reason for me to fight. I'm not gaining anything, and us fabricants, we don't do stuff when we're not gaining." He just takes off running like Forrest Gump. He's just
see you
running on this
later.
train like, he's run, 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 and then he's back. And you're like, "What the heck?" And it basically ends up where they can't run away from something as special as a Shibi.
It's like their mission
And
statement.
again, does this set up down the line where that will give you the idea where it's just attack until you either kill a Shibi or you die? That's why one of these, they're not going to be able to retreat from them. That's not a great
Mm.
thing. It's cool here because they want to kill them, but it's not cool when you're getting attacked and they can't
No.
back out. And, this might come into play. And what ends up happening in these rules, you're not getting a ton, so you remember them, but it does feel like stuff like even a Death Note when you get the different rules, you get the different deals,
Hmm.
because they are setting up the world that way. But it says once a fabricant is aware of the presence of superior flesh, they cannot turn their back to it. Even in the face of an opponent they have no chance against, they cannot choose to run away from a fight. And to fabricants,
Hook,
a
line, and
Shibi
sinker.
yells blood is the best. It's like the heroine.
Ooh.
Oh my god. And you have that, and it's like pretty demonic in the background. It's like nothing
No,
is,
it's
and they
creepy.
say like it's the best, nothing's better bait. This is the greatest. And even
It's
there,
such a clever concept. You've
yeah.
got like the homing system, the tracking system, and like unbeatable foe here,
Yeah.
and this is why they're such a good tag team.
Yeah. And what makes me laugh is this blood ends up being that, but when they go and see him, they don't really need to. Or really kick they can, I guess, but it's not gonna do him any good, he's not old enough. They get there and
Mm.
go, "Oh, man, like, I thought you were," and then they get
Busted.
slaughtered. Like, this is the play because as they go around, the only way this is gonna work, as Ashibi said, "You have to help me eliminate all of the fabricants." So, that's why they're going around like this, and it, like, twists and turns and works out pretty good. But you see, and this is why I end up thinking there's something more, even if it is protection or protectiveness because of, hey, your body's mine or whatever. But you have this guy, and he's like, he gets so sus. He's like, maybe he really comes off like a druggie. Maybe you can just give me
Oh,
a little taste. Give me a little bit of the drop, please. Come on. And you see, Shibi gets mad, and then she gets furious. And she says,
hmm.
"Why, you little, how dare you speak to a Shibi like that? His family was murdered by Fabricant." They're like, "She's a Fabricant." And she's yelling about this.
Where do
And
you get
yeah,
off,
"You have the nerve to
Fabricant?
do this. I won't let you get away with it." And she's just going to town. And I mean, now it becomes full out Sakamoto days, where
Oh
the
yeah,
action is full
that
out like that.
splash page,
It's good.
boom.
And again, she's like, "Ba boom," and you kinda, see all these stitches, stuff, right? And veins popping out of places that,
Jeez.
are no longer sexy. But
Sus
yeah,
places.
really, I'm telling you, cleavage veins.
Uh-oh.
But it says the stress isn't healthy for him. You pull it back now. Now it's like, oh, she's just concerned that he's not as healthy now. But it seems like she does care. And then she
Well,
just,
the
oh my God, when she grabs those eyeballs out of this guy, like, is she going to
mhm.
grab the legs and go find Usain Bolt or Forrest? Hey, you missed these. She's like, it's too late for
It's
that.
like reverse postman. I'll send
Yeah.
them all back. But
Yeah,
this
exactly.
moment here is the most interesting, I think, because this is showing whether or not she's just doing it to please him,
Yeah.
to please drunk Big Nose, who
Yeah.
knows? But like she takes the eyeballs back, which she doesn't have to do. All she has to do is take out this enemy, but she takes the eyeballs back because that's what her master wants. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, layers here. Oh
Exactly,
my
and she
goodness.
grabs those eyeballs and throws them at the feet of Drunky, and he's just like, "What the heck?" Now he realizes it's funny. He's like, "Yeah, I know I asked for these eyeballs, but I really don't know what to do with these
What am I gonna
things."
do with
And like, I
these?
guess he goes and like he takes some. Here's your grave, honey, with the eyeballs in his hand. How about a drink? Because he does end up. I love the idea that he plays out that he's so sad that he sits down, he sets 2 places, of course, he's drinking that other drink. He just wants 2 glasses of wine.
Can I
Eh,
get two
there's
first
no
class
way
tickets, please?
there's no way he's not drinking that
And
2nd
a
glass of
bottle of
wine.
wine for
"Here
one.
you go,
Oh,
Luna. Pour one out for my homie." "Oh, well, I don't wanna pour it out. Let me drink it. It's a little expensive wine. I'm gonna drink it down."
can you
Yeah.
see the label on this one, honey?
It's
Oh,
like
jeez.
we find out later that he is buying labels to put on the bottles of really cheap wine. He's like,
Well,
"Mad Dog no more," and ends up putting
jeez,
there, I would say a very fancy type of wine, but I don't know one. "Here you go, Dom Perignon." I know that's like champagne.
delicious.
Oh my goodness. "Here you go, grapes aplenty." But he ends up having the eyes, so now he could think back at all the good times. He ends up putting him in his hanky, and I don't know why, but that really weirded me out, and especially he puts
Yeah,
them to his heart, and they're probably like, how squishy they would be and stuff.
yeah. He
It's
squeezes
disgusting.
them.
Yeah,
You don't want to
they
be doing the
pop,
squeezing.
right? And he's like, "You know
Oopsies.
what? They did say I needed glasses. Maybe I gotta go talk to a surgeon. I might be able to increase my eyesight."
We will
Uh,
always be together
yeah.
now.
It'd be funny if he's like, is there anything with if I, put her eyes back, does that bring her back to life? They're like, "No." He's like, "Oh, crap."
No, no
But
memory in the eyeballs.
he got the eyeballs back, and now he seems to be good with it. Seems to maybe be able to get his
I'm
life
happy with
together,
life.
and I wish that he was going with them. I really do, but I
Mhm.
guess he's like, "Listen, my time in the book has served well. I was the surprised guy who wanted eyes back. I got the eyes, off I
Mission
go,
accomplished.
right to the police station to report you both because you're awful." Like, he never gets to that point of "your kind killed my, Luna." He just ends up
Jeez.
like, "Alright, she was okay. She got the eyes back." And yeah, you end up where they're just gonna go, and he even says, like, his last bit is to get us one bit of information, one more. "Hey, you just go where the
Mhm.
news tells you?" "Yep. That's what we do." "Alright.
Pretty
Sounds cool."
much.
And he says, "All right, well, let me know if there's anything I can do." And then I thought, okay, he's leaving the book, but he's leaving it open.
What
That will
help is
probably,
the drunk gonna
yeah,
be?
really. It's when you end up where they need some drink, or like he's like, "I know everything about wine, whiskey." I mean, really. And they're like, "Well, can you give us a ride?" Hey, listen, you're stepping a little too far here. I can
No
just tell
way.
you about the drunk stuff. But yeah, he
Never
goes.
ever drink and drive.
I love it too. They're because they get off the train. Like, "Oh man, it's so good, mister, that you're okay now. Yep, I gotten over it. Tickets, please." He ends up going get another ticket, gets back, starts drinking again. He's like, "Oh my goodness." But yeah, and it's like these eyes, I really couldn't do everything that I was hoping I could with those. I'm really sad still. But there he goes. And that is the deal where he said,
Mhm.
Ashibi said to the guy, he's doing it so others don't end up hurting like he did. Again, especially with his sister. He didn't seem that concerned with a lot of his other family members. It was his sister that he really did seem to love, and she loved him. But then there's the Bruce Wayne stuff, the Batman. I'm gonna train to avenge my parents' death, but also to stop no kid or nobody's gonna end up going through this pain again. Something that, drunky guy, he never really got that. He's just like, yeah, I'm a
No.
little selfish, I'm out of here. So he went off, but it is that he says, I think that human was right. Doing this won't bring back the dead. You can only make up for what you've lost by taking from someone else. And again, even saying me trying to get revenge like that, I'm almost like a fabricant, grabbing things and whatnot. But they're like,
Mm.
okay, well, how about we just pick out some humans who look like your family? Is what the fabricant,
Good
and
enough.
he almost says like, well, that would be okay, but it's got to be a pain in the butt. Like, so we can't really do that. It wouldn't be right. But it is kind of weird at the end, you get this, like, wholesome deal of them being that like, they don't realize in the first chapter that they already are family. It is almost like,
Ooh.
I thought I was teaching you, but you were teaching me, that whole deal.
It's wholesome,
Yeah.
kinda, but, like, that look that she gives,
Yeah,
that's like a Makima look,
I'll tell you,
that is
if
sinister.
anybody would know what this means, it's like Nellie from Little House on the Prairie, and Nellie was not
Oh,
good. Nellie
oh
was
no.
pure evil, looks exactly like her. The only reason I say my wife is watching, it's on, I don't know, some channel that she has on, and
Old
it comes
people
on
shows.
every time I'm there. I'm reading, manga or comics, doing stuff for podcasts, and I hear sobbing. And I'm like, "What's going Oh my god, it's the episode where Mary finds out she's blind." Like, finds out she's blind? What do you
Uh-oh.
mean? Hey, who turned out the
Sh
lights?
Yeah, she needs her eyeballs.
Yeah,
Jeez, get
really.
the Fabricants.
Always crying. "Oh, this is when Albert got hurt." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, stop it." I did like Little House on the Prairie when I was a kid. But, yeah, the whole deal of, "All right, let's go. Let's kill some more Fabricants until my dreams come true, and that's me taking your body." And you do
Boom.
end up where you get a cool deal with, okay, number 12, only 82 more to go. So you get that
Whoa.
mission statement you see, and almost like a hero notes, you got the
Oh,
fanboy there, Shibi, like, dead. He writes in for
taking
that
the
one.
notes.
He
Exterminated.
And I'll tell you one thing, guy, little kid, he can draw pretty well. You can see
Pretty
that
good.
it's that guy. He has pointing, strong legs. He
Strong
has some other
legs.
notes, but defeated. There you go. So he's done,
Dig,
and they
dig.
go off. And just to really play it up, when you end up walking away, you see that she's wearing like almost like she's Mary Poppins, but she's like a zombie put together Mary Poppins that wants to consume all the body parts, not even consume, but
Whoa.
use the body parts. Then I'm thinking like, "Well, what are you gonna do with a boy, like an 18-year-old boy's things?" Like, I get the idea. You want his blood,
Experimentation.
you want his deal, but all of a sudden she's like, "I kind of like your chest area." I don't know.
Oh,
Whatever it would be, but he
it's
seems his
2023
special
problems
thing
now.
though is his blood and longevity, so that would be
Mhm.
to have. So all that, and yeah, you have that. I wonder why she didn't grab them fast legs, but she did. So, or the eyes. But yeah, and I also, who was attaching them on? Are they doing their own sewing of things? But by the end, I thought it
Maybe.
was really good. I really thought it was
Banger.
really, really good. The way things were set up, it was done so well. Was done in a way that was like subtle at first, but then you realize everything meant something. Everything
Mhm.
advanced the deal. So I'm gonna be pretty high with this. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be very high. This has been the most solid chapter we've read in a long, long time, Jim. It ticked all the
Yeah,
boxes. Rock solid start. I'm saying like we get the mission statement, we get the characters, we get the game plan, we get it all. It feels like we're joining this story halfway through, but it
yeah,
feels like it fits right in. As I was saying, everything is done so smooth. This is very impressive. For a couple of one shots and working on an assistant job
yeah.
on Elusive Samurai, this guy, Daisuke,
Yeah, he's paying
he's going
attention, right?
places.
He
I'm
realizes
telling
what
you.
it takes. So this might be,
Yeah.
the start of, something big. If this one unfortunately didn't work out, I still think that they might have found somebody that gets it and will be able to continue.
Mhm.
Because when we get some of these newer ones, you can tell right away, like, you just don't get it. Like, what's going on here? And some
Yeah.
of them
Yeah, you
are
can
with
always tell the dud is happening.
and some of the times it's like, this is a dud. This is the third thing they've worked on. You're like, really? Like, you haven't
Wrap it up.
learned, like, There's some,
Mm-hmm.
and it is funny. There's like that it factor that you don't know what it is, but it's there. And this kind of had it. You end up like,
It
yeah,
has a
this is
big
really
time.
good. So what would be your score?
I'm gonna go pretty high. It's my favorite out of this new batch.
You're going
I
to go
think that
9.5, aren't you?
I know not. I'm gonna go 9.8,
Oh
Jim.
my God. I'm
Take
going
that to the
9.5.
bank.
I'm going 9. I thought you were going to go
How
9.
dare you?
9.8.
Boom.
Holy
I'm
moly.
telling you,
This
it's
guy,
the
you're going to
best
put
of the
so
new
much
batch.
pressure on this guy. He's never going to be able to recover.
Chapter 2 better be a banger too.
I can imagine chapter 2 is like the worst thing ever, and you're just gonna be like, "Come and take my heart." You already
Oh
did.
no.
It's like he was the fabricant. I'm 9.5. You're 9.8. It's great. I
Solid.
mean, and
Rock solid.
I had some people, and especially when I put up some of the videos of the things, with people kind of checking in, maybe not in tune with a lot of the deals. This you can
Mm-hmm.
read till the cows come home for free
Boom.
legally on either the Shonen Jump app, website, or the Manga Plus deal. And yeah, you should. You should go for it and read it.
Well
Is it
worth
on
it.
the Shonen Jump app? I think I did see it, right? This is actually
It do be on the
magazine
Shonen
deal,
Jump
right?
app.
I always get it
Yep.
mixed up, like if this is a Jump thing, but the hot off the presses stuff we're doing is straight up on
Ding
the
ding.
Jump deal. So this is in the big time. So yeah, you can do it on all those places legally. No sort of
On
sus
Front
deal
Street.
on Front Street, and really it will remain up there. So if you're listening to this, 9 months from now, I'd like to
Wow.
know what's happening then, right?
Yeah,
If
what's
I'm
the
still
weather like?
alive, I might not
Oh
be.
boy.
Be like the worst. I die in 8.5 months. You're like, he knew all along.
Oh no.
Ah, that'd be great. I want to at least go down with something like that. He knew maybe he disappeared on purpose because he said that.
Crystal
Because
ball.
I'm telling you, I do like to be right. So, you
Yeah.
may have to, skew the stats here. But I end up where even then it'll still be it's a number one chapter. So you'll be able to
Ding ding.
check it out hopefully in 9 months, though it's still going strong and getting even better. Though in Luke Hollywood's case, where could it go? You're already at a
Oh.
9.8, so we'll see. But I did really like it. I'm glad that this one really came in, and maybe that's the deal. Have this one last because they knew. I mean, they're reading them too, right? They can
Yeah.
tell, and
They
maybe
must
it
have known.
is.
Oh, this robot one ain't it cheap.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Maybe the play is, have the stronger one at the end, because then that's what you'll keep thinking about. Like,
Compare this one to Cypher Academy. I know which one I want to keep reading. Oh, jeez.
Cypher. That's the thing that even the other times where we had stuff like Dormon, is that what it's called? I want to say like when Ayashimon, Dororon, and that I at least then remembered the name, but at least I remembered what I read and what was going on. You start mentioning some of these newer ones, I'm like, I don't even remember what we talked about but I'll remember this one. And again, this will be on the regular weekly show, the very weekly manga
Mm-hmm.
review show out every Wednesday. We'll be talking about this. We'll keep going with this. Cypher Academy,
Guaranteed.
you just got kicked to the curb. Cypher Academy,
Bye-bye.
get out of here. Here's the riddle me this. What book is off the podcast? Oh my goodness, I just figured it out. That was an easy riddle. But yeah,
Easy.
this will be on the regular deal because we like it so much, and I want to see if it does. I don't want it to go down. I want to see how your scoring goes from a 9.8. How you can adjust this as we go forward.
7.5.
Yeah, really. If it gets down to a 7, then we got big troubles because Luke's
Big
7 is
troubles.
everybody's -10.
Yeah.
But
Jeez
that's
Louise.
that. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Luke, for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please go over to our Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us. We'll follow you back. Then go to our YouTube channel, which you just look up Weird Science Manga, or hit some links in the show notes. And then go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, where you'll get up to 8 episodes, early access to this Manga Monday show, and then early access to some of the reading clubs and all that jazz. And the more people we get, we'll get things going over there a little bit more, have some, talkings and stuff. We'll have some fun stuff, maybe some polls. Maybe we get enough people, we'll have that side weekly show with the special picks and stuff. But we'll see. We just need more people over there. But hey, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Luke. And we'll talk to everybody next Monday.
We are fighters, we fight until we win. The scales of